Hey guys, Luke here, Tranquility based detailing. What is the best wax? This is a question that comes up virtually daily if you go onto the Facebook groups and the forums. It's a common question and it's one that I find a little bit frustrating because it's the wrong question, but it's so nearly the right one. Stick with me. I'll go through why it's the wrong question and I'll go through what is the correct question to ask. So if you stick with me to the end, you're going to be better placed to ask the question. But I'm going to tell you from the outset, I'm not going to tell you what the best wax is. But if you stick with me to the end, you'll understand, you'll see why. So what is the best wax? I'll tell you the reason it's almost the right question. When people ask it, generally speaking, what they're asking is, how do I make my car shiny? That's the crux of what they're getting at. They may have a misunderstanding of what wax is or what it's intended to do or actually able to do. And if you're coming to detailing as an amateur, you'd look at it and you think wax equals shiny. And the reason for it is it comes at the end. It comes at the end when the car is, all ready, everything is shiny as, is, and the wax is the finishing touch. But if you consider it, in a lot of ways, it's a lot like, saying, I'm really hungry, I want to go to a nice restaurant for a nice meal. Who's got the best after dinner mint? Because you associate that as being the finishing part of the last meal. It's the punctuation. It's the bit that said, okay, belly's full, I've had a great time, the after dinner mint, it's the end. And the wax is just that. It's the bit that comes right at the end of the process. So the question I think you should be asking is, how do I make my car shiny? That is the correct one. That's the best question. And the answer doesn't lie with wax. That's the real sticking point. What you will need to do in order to get your car shiny is you'll need to properly prepare. So you look at the car and, if you imagine you start with a dirty car, you need to get rid of the dirt. The dirt isn't shiny, so you get that out of the way. The next thing you need to do after you've washed it is decontaminate it. So your paintwork's going to be afflicted with two things. So it's going to be afflicted with dirt and defect. So dirt, just washing alone isn't going to get rid of it. You've got a couple of the stages to do. So you need, after that stage, after the wash stage, to remove the tar. So use a tar remover. You need to remove the iron fallout that's in the paint. So use an iron remover. Then you would use a clay bar, a clay mitt, a clay cloth to strip the remaining bonded contaminants from the paint. Now your paint can be considered clean, but still not shiny. It's a step in the right direction, still not there. You then have defects, and defects are a little bit harder. So you've got two approaches with defects. You can remove them or you can hide them. Now hiding is very temporary. You'd use a glaze, something like that, to fill these defects. The right way to do it, but it is also the harder and the longer way to do it, is to remove them. So what sort of defects are we talking about? We're talking about things like swirls and scuffs, scrapes, blemishes, things like that in the paint. Now obviously if you've got paint missing, nothing you can do as a detailer to fix that. You need a body shop. So don't try and build up in your head that detailing is going to replace paint. It won't. But what you're going to have in the paint are things, little scratches and swirls that are essentially breaking up the reflection. And in that way, they're breaking up the potential shine that's in the paint. So you need to remove those. And the way you do that is with a machine polisher. Polish the paint out, get it back to being perfect, or as close to perfect as is practical. You need to acknowledge that if you're polishing, you're taking paint away. So if you polish too much, you're going to see metal eventually. So polish it, get it to a point of practical perfection. Then you have shiny paint. Now comes waxing. And the waxing is that 1%. It's a bit that comes right at the end. You may ask why, I own a lot of waxes by, Joe Public standards. I don't own a lot of waxes compared to some of these guys on these forums and groups and so on. The reason that people like me and the people that love waxes buy a lot of wax is that we've got our paint to a point where really this is all that's left. All that we can do is tweak the tiny little bit. Do I want it to be a little bit glossier? Do I want it to have a wet look or more of a clinical, crisp type of look? Do I want the beads to be tall and round, or do I want it to sheet water off? We're basically left with not being able to take the paint any further with polishing. That all that is left is this. So you get that enjoyment from seeing what you can tweak out of a paintwork, and that's where wax comes in. So where you see guys like me own a lot of waxes, That's really what we're doing. We're finding ways to get that final 1% this way or that way, and the wax is for that. So in terms of getting the best wax, there isn't one. That's the honest answer. There isn't a best wax. There is subjective options in terms of what a wax can do that you might look and search for, but don't really go around asking for that. Try and find it yourself. That's part of the joy, but it's also part of the problem. You look at all these waxes here, some will give a certain finish in my eyes that I like the look of, but I can't really compel that to you, with language or words or videos, much as I may try. You need to try it for yourself. And that's really part of the beauty of this. So if you want to look at what is the best wax, do all the prep that comes before it, then look at buying a wax. And that's your answer. The other part of this video is I wanted to address the people that are trying to answer this question. So if you're not the person that's asking what's the best wax, but you're watching this going, I like when this comes up, I've got an answer. These people pop up that when the question arises, they'll go, this is, what I use, it's brilliant. And they mean well when they say that, when you say that, if you're the person saying that. But consider that you're the guy that's asking the question, what's the best wax? So, let's go make an agreement that what they're asking is, how do I make my car shiny? You're not helping when you pop up and go, I use this one, it's really good. You mean well when you say it, but in actual fact, what you're telling that person is, yes, you're right, there is a best wax. Wax will do all that you need it to do, and this is the answer. You're limiting both that person's learning potential and you're limiting yourself. Give an answer that's right. Ask the question back, have you prepared the paintwork? Have you got the paintwork right? Yes. Fine. Well, I've used this wax and I find it gives this, this and this quality, which I like. If you like that quality, maybe look into buying it. Now you're giving a subjective answer to a subjective question, and that's the correct way to answer it. But don't be the guy that goes, this one's the best one. Because that's the nature in which the answer will be taken. The question you're being asked is what's best, and you're giving an answer, a response. When you look through these groups, you see a lot of that response. And like I said, I don't want to take away involvement, chat, talk, bounce ideas, but acknowledge that your ideas are just that, the same as my ideas are that. I'm mindful of this old saying that opinions are like arseholes. We all have one and largely just produce shit. And I stand by that, even though I put myself out there giving an opinion. The thing to acknowledge when you're giving an opinion on something like this is it is just that. So give your answer, but give it in the correct way. But first and foremost, next time you see someone pop up saying, what's the best wax? Help them. Tell them that preparation is going to get them the best finish they can possibly get. Take away from them when they tell you it happens to be a grey car, a red car, or a white car. Take that away. Say, no, the best thing to do is get all of the run-up right first. Going back to my meal analogy, acknowledge that the meal is the bit that fills you up. It's not that after dinner minute. It's not that bit at the end. That is truly the answer to what is the best wax. Go out, prepare your paintwork, get it right. If you're scared about machine polishing, learn, read. There's so much information out there. I did it. You may want to start on a scrap panel or things like that, but there's ways to get into doing this right, and the information's there, and the people are around to give those that advice and those bits of information. But that's it. Take from this what you want to. If you've got any questions, you want me to refine anything that I've told you, comment section is open. Ask away. Equally, if there's a topic you want me to cover off as best as I can give my opinion on that, comments as well. Ask and I'll try and cover it off as best I can. But that's it. What is the best wax? Now you know. So if you can like, comment, subscribe, all of the lovely, I'd be very grateful, and check back for future episodes. Thanks for watching this. I don't know what it's going to be called, but if you got ideas, let me know. I hope to make it a regular feature. So thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.